Hey there, in today's video I'm going to review 2024. The good, the bad, and yes, the ugly. I'm making this video because it's the end of 2024. 2025 is upon us. Going to review 2024, make some changes for 2025. And as always, this video might be long. There are chapter markers down below, so you skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. Let's talk about shoes. In 2024, I bought 9 pairs, 8 of which I've reviewed so far. I bought 3 pairs from Nike, 1 I sent back, Pegasus Plus. I bought the Asics Twins, the Metaspeed Paris, Sky and Edge. I bought a pair from Mizuno, a pair from Puma, a pair from New Balance, and possibly my most important shoe and unreviewed as of yet, this Icebug shoe. The 9 pairs in 2024 compares to 9 pairs in 2023, 13 pairs in 2022, 19 pairs in 2021, 15 pairs in 2020. You may be asking yourself, why am I buying less shoes? Well, the fact is, I buy them myself, they don't get sent to me, and I don't want to be buying shoes that I don't have time to run in. That's essentially, I don't want mountains and mountains of shoes. I don't need mountains and mountains of more shoes, so I'm a bit more choosy than in previous years. I suppose my original plan was to maybe people would send me shoes and I downstream them to local charity shops. That hasn't happened. That's okay, because I can still be much more independent in making the running shoe videos. This time last year I was planning ahead, and there were 8 pairs of shoes I was interested in. The Nike Alphafly 3, the New Balance Fuel Cell Elite Super Comp version 4, the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2, and I bought all those. But once I thought I might buy, but I didn't buy, the Puma Fast Or Nitro Elite 2, the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, the Asics Super Blast Paris, the On Cloud Monster 2, and the Brooks Ghost Max 2. I didn't buy any of those, but have I any shoe FOMO? No, not really. I'm happy with the ones I bought, by and large. Sometimes the timing is wrong. You might have bought 2 Asics Metaspeeds Parises and you're making videos about that, and another shoe comes out but you wouldn't have time to actually review it. Sometimes it's things like that. Sometimes the shoes that get released, you already have a lot of carbon plate shoes, you don't feel like buying anymore. Those kinds of things influence the shoe buying, and of course my individual preferences. My least liked shoe of 2024, of the ones I bought, that was super easy. The Nike Pegasus Plus. I don't have it here because I sent it back. It wasn't a speed shoe. I didn't fancy it as a tempo shoe. And for daily runs, I thought, why not a regular Pegasus? Yeah, I mean, some people love it, but for me, it was, yeah, it's gone. My most surprising shoe in 2024 continued to be a shoe I bought in 2023, the Nike Infinity Run 4 GTX. These are completely, well, not completely, but almost worn out at the base. I use these very rarely for running, but for walking. Now, Apple Health says that I did 13 kilometers a day, roughly in the year, 4,745 kilometers. I ran 1,909 kilometers to date, leaving 2,836 kilometers. I really don't wear anything else. I wear maybe a kilometer at the end of every run where I'm just stopped and walking home. Occasionally I have to dress up. My version of dressing up is a pair of Cloud Monsters in blue with a blue jacket. That's my version of it. But yeah, that means a huge amount of kilometers in this shoe. I'm not entirely convinced by Apple's, but you know, it's Apple. I don't know, but I certainly walked a hell of a long way and ran a little bit in this shoe. To talk about the best shoes in 2024, and that really boils down to which ones I would buy again. And I would certainly buy again the Nike Alphafly 3. When you're going, if you can put the effort in and be on your toes, these are a great shoe. I mean, yeah, when you're flying in these, they feel fantastic. Bit worn at the back, 220k, 2 shorter races, and that was a 10k and 10 mile. The New Balance Fuel Cell Super Comp Elite version 4 was a shoe I ran 2 marathons in. Absolutely love this shoe. It's a bit worn at the back here, otherwise it's great. It's just a super all-rounder and fast shoe. And on the feet of Alex Yee, he won the triathlon in the Paris Olympics, and watching him close down on Hayden Wild was quite an amazing battle they had all year. But yeah, he was in those shoes. But a shoe I spent a lot of time thinking about getting again was the Nike Infinity Run 4 GTX, because it was so worn out. But in the end, you know, I spent ages thinking about it, but in the end I didn't have to, because, well, Santa came. So yeah, it was, so another pair of those to wear out next year. My best shoe for 2024 was an easy choice, the Nike Zoom Fly 6. I wore myself out trying to separate the performance of these from the Alphafly 3. I tried everything, and there's a small performance difference. But bang for buck, this is the best shoe I tested in 2024. It's great for training, great for racing, and if you can only get one shoe, this is a flaming good shoe, but just not in that flaming Nike colorway. Looking ahead to 2025, I might buy the Brooks Hyperion 3 and Hyperion Max 3 are out or coming out. I'm loving running in my Hyperion Max and I love the Hyperion Tempo, so I might buy one of those. I had planned to get the Nike Invincible 4. I don't know if Nike have revamped everything. That may have just disappeared. The shoe I 100% want to buy is the North Face Flight Effective Pro 3. I had the Pro 2. Wonderful shoe, and I want to do a bit more trail running. I thought about the On Cloud Surfer Max. One I am interested in is the Under Armour Infinite Mega. It's got 2 boas. I'm kind of interested in boas. The sort of non-lace adjustable system. There's no Olympics this year. I think there'll be less carbon plate shoes. I think the Vaporfly 4 might come out in March. I was hoping for the Streak Fly 2, which might have a carbon plate. Either of those I'd get. There's a big trend for high stack shoes, and much as I like them, I would like a couple of low stack shoes as well. The high stack shoes are hard on my knees on the turns, and I'm expecting the Streak Fly 2 would be different, but we'll see what comes. New shoes come up, timings, all that. Who knows what I'll end up getting, but definitely the North Face Effective Pro 2s. This year I reviewed a lot of things, not just shoes. I reviewed the Abbott Majors Gold Club. No idea really why, but I've signed up for a second go. Not really sure. I reviewed the Dustland Virtual Running. I did some nutrition. I did Y food and some other nutrition tests. I reviewed the Ultrahuman Glucose Monitor, some Rudy Project glasses, a pair of weighing scales. Weighing scales are popular reviews on my channel. I learned to fly and review some drones, some cameras, and hydration jacket by On Running. But my favorite gadget, and by a long way, is this ArcX ring. It's a little button here. It's a Bluetooth controller. I use it for headphones. When I'm running, I don't like to be using headphones much. I do use them on long runs, but I want to stop whenever I'm crossing the street or there's anything nearby and I want to stop it immediately. I can use this. I can use this little button to fast forward, change the volume, all those things. But stopping and starting is the one I use it for most. It comes in this rather large pouch, but what you get is it's a little electronic controller, but there's all sorts of different rubber pieces that you can put on different fingers. You can put it with and without gloves. I find it incredibly easy to use. Just pop it in there. I've done it with gloves and without gloves, and on long runs where I might want to listen to a podcast, but be aware of my surroundings. I always wear open ear headphones anyway, but yeah, I found this to be absolutely brilliant for that. Okay, now for some stuff I didn't review. Let's have a look at this. Now this is Dr. Ball's Fresh Bollocks Gold, the ultimate in masculine hygiene. A wonderfully fragrant, silky smooth bollock balm for men. An absolute joy to use. Deodorizing, no residue, contains aloe vera and vitamins B and E. I did buy this for a purpose, and I thought, well, I might make a review for fun, but there wasn't enough. In well, who knows? I didn't review it, but I also bought, as a comparison, the Fresh Kahunas, and then I bought man parts, powder finish deodorant lotion. I bought this, and then I bought, because I just wanted, you know what I'm like. I bought lady parts powder finish. I wanted to see, had these the same ingredients and did they work the same? And ultimately, none of them were any good. Not the only reason there was no video, but yeah, they weren't very good. And I thought, well, I'll just let you know. I wouldn't bother with any of those. And yes, this Maximum Strength Anti-Itch Cream by CVS is way better. That and a dermatologist. This year I ran and reviewed a lot more races than I usually did. It was for a variety of reasons. If you're not reviewing shoes, I ran the Boston 5K. That was just a warm-up. Well recommended. If you're running the Boston Marathon, do that. I did a Dublin Staff Relay 5K with Technological University Dublin, where I work. That was great fun. That was really great. I did the Saysky Sub Rosa in Dublin, which was a night race. I filmed that, tried to film it, and that was a hoot. I did the Skerry's 10K, the inaugural Skerry's 10K in my hometown. I did the Tollymore 10K just before Christmas. Really enjoyed that. It's part of the Born to Run series. I'll do more of those. I did the Cabbage Patch 10 miler in London. a race I did 30 years ago. Fantastic. I did the Kilkee half marathon in Clare in Ireland. Beautiful. If you like half marathons, beautiful half marathon. The Boston, oh yeah, I ran the Boston Marathon. There was that. I ran the Midnight Sun Marathon with Chris. Hey Chris. I did the Dingle Marathon with Liam. Hey Liam. And I did my first and maybe only ever. I did the Guinness Triathlon, which I was, it was great. And I ran races in the USA, in the UK, in Norway, in Ireland. And I also ran a half marathon just in Latvia for training in the cold, which was going to come in useful. I ran on snow and sand and rock. I ran on roads and parks. I ran on tracks and trails, and I ran on a roof in Oslo. And I ran in the sun and the wind and the rain, and yeah, it was all glorious. As well as running a lot of races, I watched a lot of races. I watched both Paris marathons in the Olympics. I watched the Valencia Marathon, the New York Marathon, the Chicago Marathon, all live. And several times the commentators on Discovery Sport would be talking about somebody who won the Boston Marathon. I'm thinking, how come I don't remember seeing that? This happened twice. And then I realized that, yeah, I was in it. So that's how I didn't see them. And I was not anywhere near the pointy end. Yeah, I saw a lot of people at the sort of blunt end, but yeah, the pointy end, yeah, never saw any of it. But my favorite professional race was watching Sifan Hassan win the Paris Olympics. It was an amazing race, amazing course. I think there was 4 athletes in it up till the last 3 or 4K. And then it came down to just Asifa versus Sifan Hassan. And when Sifan put the hammer down, it was really fantastic to watch it. It was a really, I could watch it over and over again. For some reason, the women's marathon distances seem much more interesting at the moment than the men's. Yeah, fantastic. All running races are hard, and what might be an easy 5K for you or me might represent a huge accomplishment for somebody else. And every time you run a race, you see that. You'll see, no matter what the distance, there will be people that it is a massive achievement to cross the line, and well done to all of those. When you run a marathon, all marathons are hard. I mean, everyone's battling adversity, but some are battling more than others. And yeah, a race I didn't watch in 2024, but let's say I observed and I thought was the performance of the year was Bartek's Melbourne Marathon. Well done, chapeau Bartek. It was very meaningful. Yeah, very meaningful. Chapeau. My most treasured item from 2024. Well, in 2023, it was the New York City Marathon medal. What a beautiful medal. In 2024, it's easy. It's not the Boston Marathon medal, which is very unappealing. It's a hard one, but it was actually this. This is my favorite treasured item from this year. It's the Boston Qualifier BQ 2024 top by Tracksmith. Getting in was the big achievement for me, not sort of running it. It was getting into the Boston Marathon. It took, I don't know how many years and how many thoughts and how many failed attempts, but I got in. And so when Tracksmith released that, I was quite happy. You had to buy it. You had to prove your qualifying time. In the end, it seemed to end up in the discount basement stores of Tracksmith. But yeah, that is my most treasured item from 2024. In terms of my running highlights in 2024, there were loads. The Midnight Sun Marathon with Chris Bailey was just fantastic to do. It really was very emotional crossing the finish line. I was very emotional crossing the Boston Marathon finishing line. That was very emotional for lots of fairly obvious reasons. But the most emotional moment happened before a race, and that was the Guinness Triathlon. I learned to swim in the Guinness Brewery, something I'm always proud of. My dad used to take me there. And before I was about to jump in the pool for the first time in 50 years, I hadn't quite got the camera situation, probably just as well, but yeah, I had let's call it a mini breakdown, but yeah, soon passed, the race began, and yeah, it was just a wonderful, particular emotional highlight of 2024. I had lots of personal highlights in 2024, of which 2 were really important for non-running reasons, but are going to turn into running reasons. One was I was invited to Riga in Latvia to give a lecture about James Joyce and also my running related projects by Her Excellency Emer Friel, Ambassador of Ireland to Norway. Turns out Her Excellency is from my hometown of Kerry, so that was great, and I really enjoyed that, and I got to run a half marathon in the snow. And then I was invited to Oslo in Norway to give the James Joyce Lecture on Bloomsday by Her Excellency Claire Buckley, Ambassador of Ireland to Norway. They were huge honours. I mean, they were really, to be honest, once, you think they've taken a chance here. Twice, maybe, maybe it's okay. But yeah, it led to the half marathon in the snow in Latvia. And then I went up and I ran the Midnight Sun Marathon with Chris in Tromsø. And that's leading to a marathon next year in the Arctic Circle. I mean, I say next year. It's on Saturday. Oh dear. Lowlights of 2024? Well, there were no biggies. There was one standout. The National Running Show in Birmingham, the UK was a big disappointment. I flew over, stayed in a hotel. So, I mean, I guess it was expensive for me to go. If you lived around the corner and went in, maybe not so much. But yeah, it was a bit like being in the bargain basement section of Adidas and Mizuno and everybody else. Well, in fairness, Mizuno brought all their best stuff. Fairness to them. But everything else was just, I could have done all the stuff online. I made a lot of videos in 2024, I think at least one a week. There's not one video I made that I could have not have made better, including this one. This is the second time I'm making this one. I made it the other day, uploaded it, and then, didn't like it. Time to make it again. That sort of stuff happens. My least watched video in 2024 was actually one of my favorites. And I value it on how people enjoy them and how I enjoy them. But my least watched video in 2024, which 168 people watched, was my This Is Not About Running, Kerry. It was stories about my own man. But yeah, I have more of those planned. Hopefully I'm going to get and toast and roast my old dear on another day. Revenge is a dish best served. Yeah, she'll get her day out. My most watched video in 2024, well, if you review a Nike shoe, you get lots of views. 37,565 watched my Nike Air Zoom Tempo Next Percent. This year wasn't the Alphafly 3. 18,894 people watched a review of this, the Nike Infinity Run 4 Gore-Tex. And you ask yourself, well, why? And the reason is not many other reviewers reviewed this shoe. So somebody searching online for a review of the shoe will land on my review. And yeah, I've asked several manufacturers to be able to buy shoes early to sort of go up against everybody, but hasn't happened. My favorite video from 2024 was how shoe weight affects running performance. I really enjoyed everything about making that video. It gave me a lot of fun, gave me some technical challenges, all those kinds of things. And I'd made one running shoes why weight matters, and a couple of people in the comments had suggested that I needed to make the weight on the shoe, not different shoes at different weights. So I set about trying to find out how to do that. It took me a while, and I really did enjoy doing that. And I do like when people suggest stuff and then I go off and think, right, okay, I better go and figure out how to do that. That gives me a lot of joy. I love the comments on the videos. My most commented on video in 2024 was 128 comments on the Boston Marathon, and some were really very nice. They were really some very nice comments, brought me a lot of joy. One not so much, but we'll come back to that. An oddity this year was I discovered that more people watched my Dublin Marathon review of 2023 than my Boston Marathon. And it turned out a lot of them watched it this year. I'm guessing in anticipation of the run. The course changed this year slightly, start and finish line, I think. So I might update that. But yeah, they loved all the comments throughout the year. Well, nearly all. We'll come back to that. In terms of the YouTube statistics for 2024, I just captured 365 days of it. And so the Nike Infinity Run 4 GTX, I think I had about 15,000 views because I'd released it a bit earlier than last year. My average view duration was surprising. The longest someone watched was the Jack and Jill Downhill Marathon of 2023 with an average of 9 minutes and 3 seconds. The most overall watch time was Alphafly 3 versus Vaporfly 3. That didn't surprise me, 923.3 hours as of when I did these stats yesterday. The least watch time was the Duskland Visual Running at 1 minute 37. There was a lot of views, but nobody was watching. So anyway, a few theories about that. In terms of the watch time in hours per city, I was really surprised about this. Really surprised. Most was from Dublin. I thought nobody watched it in Dublin. London, Singapore, New York, and then Sydney. Sydney? Really? Bartek. I'm shocked. Sydney beats Melbourne. Anyway, that's what happened there. The longest view duration really surprised me. The longest that somebody is watching, the city where they watch the longest, Omaha, Nebraska. Now I know what Warren Buffett does in his spare time. Most of the people who watch are younger than me. Most of the people who exist are younger than me. There's less than 10% of my viewers are over 55. I'm over 55, I'm 61. There are 10% are women. And with a channel called Old Man Runner, even getting 10% was great. To talk a little bit about monetization, which I did this year. My original plan was to see, I wanted to see how that would affect viewer numbers. And I thought that what I would do is I would monetize some videos, but do it in the second day so somebody would be able to see it ad-free first. I did that. It turned out to be hard to do. And then halfway through the year, I just decided to do that from the start for videos where I was reviewing something largely. That was kind of what I decided to do. I thought I might make €500 in a year. I was surprised. I made €850. But a lot of the channel stopped growing this year. The most interesting revenue was, yet again, the Infinity Run 4 GTX. I made €67.98 out of this shoe. So yeah, I'm not doing this for the money, clearly. Of the ones who watched, 8.7% of people were YouTube subscribers, but they watched twice as long. I have a YouTube subscription. I find it great. I use it for music, and I also use it for watching YouTube videos, of which I watch a lot. Turns out 36.2% watched on iPhones, 25.1% on Android, 17.3% on Windows, and 11.4% on Mac. And that was kind of interesting for me. Yeah, to kind of see where people were watching it and perhaps be less Apple-centric each year, or remember that people are on Android and also on PCs. So far, so good, but there's been some bad, and the ugly will follow. There's a number of videos this year that I tried to make but just didn't get done. I tried to review the Westport Greenway in the west of Ireland. I went over to go to my nephew's stag party, bachelor party, and I spent hours filming, running, editing this entire video. And it took, my running, if I review a running sort of thing, to take ages because I'm never exactly sure the structure till I start making it. And at the end of it, I canned it because all I was going to say was, don't bother running it. If you're going to Westport, run out Clew Bay towards Croagh Patrick, and I really recommend going to Westport's a great place. But don't waste your time running on the Greenway. It's not all that great. You run along by a road for a lot of the time. Funny enough, whilst I didn't want to waste your time, I didn't waste my time. I met an amazing man there who was doing some sort of topiary. Now, it was hard to recognize that it was topiary, but he was trying to do some topiary. He had a very strong Irish accent. Really strong. And he was just fascinating. I talked to him for about 15 minutes, just standing there. And I would have loved to have recorded him. I recorded a tiny bit, but not enough to do him justice. But if you are ever running the Greenway and you see a man cutting what may be topiary, talk to him about the gamey Fuihon. And he was just fantastic. That was one of my, that was a highlight of the year, was meeting him, even if it never made it on video. A couple of other things didn't quite go according to plan. I don't know if you noticed, but I experimented with AI audio this year. This room is very echoey, and I tried some Adobe AI. It did a lot of good, but it had some weird sound effects. You may notice Jack and myself, when you saw pictures in the car going to the Tollymore 10K, sounded like we both had a severe head cold. So I'm still going to mess around with AI, still try to make it a bit better. I use it for a lot of thumbnails and things, and we're all going to be using it more. But yeah, I had a few things go wrong with AI this year. Now, let's look at the ugly. I mentioned the comments on my Boston Marathon review video. They were overwhelmingly wonderful, as the comments always are. And I even like comments where people disagree with me about something, and I don't mind those in the slightest. I quite enjoy those, and they make you rethink what you're doing. They're always good. And much as the comments of Boston are so wonderful, there is always one. I can't explain why someone would make a comment like this, but people do. There's always one. sometimes during the year, I started to get a lot of questionable comments. They were questioning my clothing. They questioned my sexuality. They questioned my marital status. They even questioned my house, saying it was blocked out on Google Street View. It's not. This strange house, when I did it in about 2000, it had its own website. It was featured in every major Irish national newspaper. It was on the TV twice. Why would I block it out on Street View? Anyway, they also posted that it was all over Reddit that I was the worst shoe reviewer on the internet. They might be right that it's all over Reddit. And they might be right that I'm the worst shoe reviewer on the internet. But I thought, finally, they got something that could be right. Hey, even a broken clock is right twice a day. I have changes planned for 2025. I'm always making videos and trying to make them better. I'm trying to answer questions that occur to me as we go along, or may occur to you that you point out to me. I make ones about things that interest me, and I'm hoping that they might be useful for somebody. That's might interest or be useful to somebody. That's what I'm trying to do. But it takes me so long to make them. I can't make various different videos, and I'm trying to increase my technical skills, my running skills, my sound skills. Definitely trying to do that. And I'm always testing something, even if that something is myself. And I can only make videos about what I'm doing at that particular time. Next year, there'll probably be more race videos. If I'm not reviewing shoes, there'll be more race videos. I've got lots of races planned. And I was asked a couple of days ago what happened to the ranting runner. So I started writing a script. He'll be back sometime in the middle of the year. Hopefully, a couple of things. Might come earlier if I think of something. But the big thing this year, I said it last year, I'm trying to film my James Joyce related runs. And that might take up a bit of time. I mean, that might be less videos, but there'll be at least one a week somewhere and I'll point them out. But yeah, last year a big thing for me to do all that was to learn how to fly the drone. I did that. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I can fly a drone around without crashing into the house too much. And there are big challenges ahead. There's also some other big change that I might make, but yeah, there'll be lots of changes coming up. In 2024, I ran largely injury-free. I had the niggles that everybody has and the worries. I had lots of worries about my knees. Turned out not to need to worry too much. But I consider myself to be very lucky, and I'm very grateful, and I don't take any of this for granted, any of the running, anything I do, and certainly I don't take the idea that you may have watched part or all of this video for granted. There's a lot of people I need to say thank you to for keeping the show on the road. My doctor, Dr. Connor Grant, who always amuses me when I go to see him. We always have a great laugh. My dermatologist, Dr. Helena Healy, see above. They're both at the Blackrock Medical in Dublin and Blackrock. My physio, Fergal Howard, he's just taken over the Ranelagh Physio Clinic, but yeah, thanks to all of those. They give you a psychological comfort as well as all the physical stuff. Huge thanks to my running companions this year. One of the great things this year, I ran with two people I hadn't run before. I ran with Liam Sharkey. I ran the Dingle Marathon, and all these runs I do, Liam and I work together, and it's just great. If you think I rant once every 6 months on videos, poor old Liam has to listen to a lot of it. Chris Bailey, we ran the Midnight Sun Marathon, and we've other ones planned. It was a real honour to be asked. To be asked to do that was great. Alan Conroy asked me would I run the Dublin Camino. We ran it. It was fantastic. It was really loved it. I'm going to film that another day. Hopefully run it again in the new year. And of course, Jack, finally got my nephew Jack out of the bed. Did a race. I'm 1-0. Don't last long. And yeah, but it was great to run with everybody. And if you're ever in Dublin, just give me a shout. I love going running with people. I also have to thank all of you for your kind comments and overwhelming positivity during 2024. It meant and means a huge amount to me. I wish you and yours a fantastic 2025. Onwards and upwards. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you would hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there and some red videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along. 2025, here we come.